What's up YouTube? I am working on the Evo today as usual, and today I'm removing my exhaust manifold. So it is this piece right here that is hooked up right onto the engine, and for some of you who have never done this, it may be a little difficult because you may not be familiar with where the bolts are. So I'm just gonna walk through and film how I remove this piece. Now I have here the Toxic Fab exhaust manifold, but this is no different from your stock OEM manifold that comes with the Evos. The only difference may be that this manifold is missing the exhaust manifold cover, so your stock exhaust manifold may have two bolts on top that mounts the cover to the manifold, but I don't have that here, so I'm just gonna get right into it. So as you can see, I got 4 bolts up top, and I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts on the bottom of the exhaust manifold that's mounted to the block, and I have 4 bolts holding the manifold to the turbo. It might be hard to see, but I got one back here. This is gonna be a pain in the ass to get to. One here, one here, one here. So before you get to work on your manifold, I recommend you get a wrench set that's something like this. It's got it's got 2 L's, so you can get to the back bolts of the manifold, especially this one back here in the back left corner. And without tools like this, it may be impossible to get some of these bolts. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Start with the easy ones. Of course, you wanna make sure you blast these bolts with PB blaster before you get into it, so it's nice and loose. So this is the wrench I was talking about earlier. As you can see, I have access to the back left bolt of the manifold to the turbo. So I just want to go in from the right side and then go ahead and turn it. So that's how you get access to that back bolt. Okay, now all the bolts holding the exhaust manifold to the turbo is out, and I'm gonna get to these little bolts now. One thing I want to mention is that you want to remove the hardest bolts first, and by hardest I mean the one in the back left corner and probably the one in the back right corner. The reason why you want to remove these first is that once you start removing the front ones, the turbo is gonna want to drop on the manifold, and all that weight is gonna be held on or supported by the 2 bolts in the rear. So if you remove these 2 bolts first, it's just gonna make it harder for the rear bolts to come out. So instead of doing that, you want to remove the back bolts first, so you can add more strength and power to removing these front bolts that have easy access. So now I'm just gonna get to the actual block to manifold bolts. Alright, and it is out. So to give you a recap of the hardest bolts I had to work with, this is the back bolt I was talking about that I had to use the L wrench to get to. I used an L wrench and came in from the right side and hooked it up into this here. On the motor side, the bottom middle piece was the hardest to get to, but all I had to do was grab a wrench, come in the back here, like on the bottom, and just spin away, and it came out quite nicely. Everything else was pretty easy. I just used a wrench coming in from the top, and yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So here is my pretty Toxic Fab exhaust manifold. So thanks again for watching. Post questions if you have any, and I'll see you in my next video.